three sections, probably about 20 minutes or so, and then maybe we'll get into some Q&A if you like, and get to know the students. But I kind of worked that out with the format, so we could do it that way.
Hey, excellent. The way you want is perfect with me.
Oh, it'll be fun. This will be fun. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Is your camera working today or not?
Yeah, you can see the camera, right?
No, I can't. I can see your picture.
Oh, we did? Oh, I see. Because I probably didn't put the video on. Okay. Okay, maybe that's there. You go. That's it. Yeah, I can see. See?
Okay.
The shirt penguin. Here we go. Right there. Yeah. Now better. Thank you.
Okay.
Lighting okay. It's kind of it's somewhat sunny here. I don't have like a white light here, or just so. You can see me okay, right?
Yes, but you know what is amazing for me after so many years, Jim?
Yes.
You haven't changed a bit.
Yeah, we talked about that. You. I was like,
no, well, my hair is gone.
By the way, we won the soccer team that won the New Englands. If I remember, you played soccer, right?
Yes.
You won that 81?
So far, best soccer team in Cushing.
Carlos DiCarlo, right? Wasn't he one of the players on there? He was drafted by the Phillies. He played baseball. I think he was on that team. And
yes, Carlos.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's like
did it happen to you? Do you know anything about Carlos?
I don't know what ever happened to him. I mean, he never played Major League Baseball, but I got drafted. I never heard from him. Is he still around, Carlos DiCarlo?
I haven't heard from him since 1982.
Wow, maybe he disappeared.
I keep in touch with some of the Venezuelan people, like Serafin. Remember?
Yeah, and I lost.
Hi, Jim.
Hi there, Alejandra. Is that right?
Yes, that's Alejandra.
Yes. Hi.
Good to see
Hi,
you.
Ernesto. Hi, Anna. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good night. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Good to have you on with us tonight.
We're going to give them a little, like a couple of minutes. So.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Just add them on there. Join it there.
Yeah. So I haven't heard from any one of them. No.
Really?
No.
Well, true. Do you hear from Arturo?
The one that I have heard is Dan DePoli. Remember him?
What happened to him?
He is living in Miami, I think, in Florida.
I haven't seen him in I don't know how long.
Married and he's been married for, I don't know, 45 years.
But I mean, Rosa, I didn't know Arturo died. He was murdered in Venezuela. I asked her how he was doing, and she said he died. I'm like, he did what? Because I hadn't talked to him since we played football. Very sad about that. He was in my class, 83. And I miss him because he played wide receiver like I did. In fact, he played the same position on JV, which was nice. I split end, I think, defensive end or something like that. Yeah, he was a nice guy.
Maybe what we should do now during the Holy Week, since there will be no work, we can get in touch with some penguins, no? With some fellow penguins.
If you want, no.
Zoom.
Like I said, reunions were canceled for the second year in a row. In fact, I just wrote to Brett talking about maybe the Zoom reunion at some point. So hopefully he'll do that. He hasn't answered back yet, but I hope he does. I really do. We really need this this year. This last year of the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so here there are already two of them. So let's go on with that. So they're going to give a short introduction about themselves, my two students that are here, while we wait for the others, okay?
Okay, so when you want to leave it up?
Yes, so please, Anna, hello.
Hi, how are you? Hello, Jim.
Hi, Anna, good to meet you.
Ana Maria. Hello, my name is Ana Maria Reyes. Right now, I'm in my country house, so that's why I'm a little informal. My outfit is a little informal, but I really want to enjoy this class, so I didn't care if I was on vacation. Right now, I'm working for a firm which is called Credit Core Capital in the financial area. I have the private banking director, and right now I have two daughters, Nicole and Christine. One of them is 21 and the other one is 19. And what else? I like to play tennis. I like to do a lot of sports, and I would like to hear about your presentation.
Where do you live at?
What?
Where does she live? Sorry.
In Bogota, Colombia.
Oh,
I live in Bogota,
Colombia.
Colombia.
Same as Ernesto.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, but right now I'm outside Bogota.
Okay.
This is like 2 hours from Bogota.
Is that right? Okay.
The weather is warmer, and it's like summer place.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, Alejandra, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Jim. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
Alondra. Tell us about
Well,
yourself.
my name is Alejandra Catacoli. I am environmental engineer. Now I'm start working for IDB, so I'm currently moving to Washington DC. This is my new place for the next month. I used to live in Bogota also, so I born here, and here is my family. I have a little boy. He's 6 years old. And I love the radio. I told Ernesto I have
Yeah, he asked me about
some
that.
questions to you
I'll try
about
to answer
that.
as best I can. Yeah. That's right.
So I will enjoy a lot this forum, and thank you for be part of this. Thank you, Jim.
You're quite welcome. Good to see you.
Okay, Alejandra, thank you. Okay, so while we wait for the others, no, because time is precious online, so why don't we move? Let me give you a little introduction about Jim, and then Jim is going to start talking about himself. Okay, so Jim was my classmate. No, classmate, no. He's younger than me, 2 years, and he graduated in 1983.
Me-
We met in Cushing Academy, which is our boarding school and alma mater. We haven't spoke in years, no, in decades, no, but now we are getting in touch again because of these forums. So he's going to be talking to us. He has had a very nice career in his life, and he's been on the radio. I understand that for at least 30 years.
Yes, correct.
So he's going to start talking while we wait for the others. I don't know. Maybe they'll take a little longer because it's a holiday here in Colombia, Jim.
What holiday is that? Can I ask that? What is that?
I don't know. Something has to do with Holy Week.
Okay.
What?
It's a religious, it's a Catholic holiday, San Jose. I don't know which.
St. Joseph.
San Joseph
St. Joseph.
Day.
Okay, yes. Okay. Yeah, I saw something on social media about that, but yes.
So when it's like that, it's difficult, but they will come. Okay. So while they come, why don't you start, Jim, telling us about yourself, about things like that?
Sure.
You want to tell us, okay? And then we will make you some questions, okay? So
Absolutely.
the forum is yours, please.
Well, I thank you, Sir Ernesto. I appreciate it, my fellow Penguin, and thank you all for joining me tonight. It's just an absolute pleasure to be with you here. I'm sure you learned a lot from my fellow Penguin last week, Mark Friedman. I understand that was a very good forum, and it's my pleasure to be with all of you tonight. And like Ernesto said, I mean, we're proud graduates of Cushing, that school on the hill. I did graduate in '83, and I'm going to talk about radio career, yes, but I think I really have to start though with Cushing because that's really where the story begins. It was the foundation for everything because, and I know my family has said this to me, Cushing was a lifesaver for me. It saved my life, and I'll tell you why. I struggled for many years in school. Not that I wasn't motivated, but I did get good grades toward the end of my middle school years. But I had reading comprehension issues. I mean, I could read things, but I can't remember what I did. And I needed some extra help. And thankfully, Cushing came into my life in the fall of 1980, about 40 years ago. And I've never told this story, but I'm going to talk about this tonight to you and the students, Ernesto. There was a gentleman who was by the name of Howard Green, who unfortunately died last year during the pandemic. He's a nationally known educational consultant. He was the one who suggested and actually recommended Cushing to me as a private school when I was looking around the New England region. And so fast forward, I applied to Cushing and I eventually did get in, kept my grades up in middle school. And I went there for 3 years. The first year, as with any new student, because I was hardly ever away from home, was rough. It was a real adjustment, new environment, new students. Hopefully I can make some friends there. Hope I can be accepted. It was not easy, I must say, but through it all the adversity that I did, my grades got better and better. I was able to focus and concentrate. That really, those 3 years, I think really just to shape, the future of my career. I mean, I couldn't have done it with the help of a lot of great people. I mean, the late Dr. Joyce Ferris, I'd like to say sing her praises tonight. She died a few years ago. She was more than an academic advisor. She was like a second mom to me. And she was there if I needed to talk to her about anything, and the great professors I had at Cushing. But there's one word I want to highlight tonight because what I do now is a radio show in Chicago, which I'll talk about later. Do any of you know what the definition of the word inspire means? We've all heard that word, but does anybody know what the definition is? I'm just curious if I ask anybody on that. Because we say this all the time. Anybody?
Okay, so
Can you repeat the question? Which is the meaning of what?
The meaning of the word inspire. You know what that means? The actors. I was looking at what the definition is. I'll say it. It's to breathe life into, to excite and encourage. I mean, that's the definition of inspire, because it's a mantra we use in our radio show. And I'm hoping maybe by the end of this evening that, when you hear my story, that hopefully that maybe you'll learn something and maybe be inspired about what I did, maybe, to help you do better. So I thought I'd bring that up tonight. But getting back to Cushing, I was there for 3 years. I ended up graduating in 3. And one of the things that started my career in broadcasting, I got the good fortune to broadcast the basketball games for our team my senior year. They didn't have a radio station, unfortunately, but they had a video recording class, and I took it for credit. It wasn't a paid job, but I did the whole season, mostly the home games. We did a couple of playoff games. The championship game was one of the most fun things I ever did. And it allowed me to kind of get a little taste of what the business will be like going towards college. I did that so well that I sent a tape to the program director, I guess, of the college station, or sports director, and he recommended me to somebody, and ended up getting to do play-by-play because I love sports. And eventually I did some disc jockeying along the way during that time at a very small station, which I think is now, it's gone global now, called Orbit Media. It was called WMCO, but that was just really something that senior year at Cushing. I mean, it was one of the most fun times I had outside the classroom, to be honest with you. I mean, I played sports, I played football, I enjoyed the track team, but that was really the foundation that was laid for the career. It really started with my senior year at Cushing doing that basketball season. And, but I really, when I say again, Cushing has saved my life, because I wouldn't have a broadcast career if it weren't for that school on the Hill. So I really owe them my life big time. And I try to get back to them when I can. And I try to make some donations. I've been going through some very tough times, as we all have had during this pandemic, as we all know. But Cushing means so much to me. I did go to a school like that, which I'll explain momentarily. But I wanted a smaller school with a smaller class size, individual attention, and to build my career. And because I wanted to major in an area that would help me get those jobs, called speech communication. Did pretty well, and graduated in 4 years. And then after that, I ended up going to Connecticut School of Broadcasting for extra training while I was doing an odd job, like everybody else does when they get out of school, making some money. And like I was working in the middle of the night at UPS and going to school every day and trying to learn the craft. And that took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy, but it paid off. I did graduate, and then I got my first job in Connecticut at, ironically, the station I'm working at right now, with a show that airs on Sunday nights like tonight. It's called WGCH in Greenwich, Connecticut. And out of there, at the time, I got my first job in news. Actually, I started in sports originally because a guy who was the sports director ended up going to the Winter Games in Calgary in 1988, which I wanted to do, by the way. I got the audition for that. I thought I was going to go. I didn't get that job, and I was really, really disappointed. I was very down about it, very bummed. But the news director had heard me do some fill-ins for the guy, and he said, "Why don't you come do news with us?" And I did. This was what, the winter of 1988, I believe, at that time. So at the beginning, I was working about 30 hours a week. Wasn't making much money. I must say, and to when you're working in radio, there isn't a lot of money in this business when you start, and really not even after that, you don't really make a great living, but it depends on what market you're in. But yeah, I started there, and then the economy went bad. I got cut back to 15 hours, but I worked there on and off about 7 years. I'll say about 7 years I worked there, but I got a lot of experience, learned the mechanics of everything, learning some skills. Because I must say, and again, I'll talk about this later, how the industry has changed over the decades since I started. I mean, a lot has changed. Then I moved to other markets. I then worked in Danbury, Connecticut after that. I worked throughout the New York area. I haven't worked in New York City, although I used to intern, though, in New York City at WCBS, which was an all-news station. That was fun. That was in the summer of '84, during my college years while I was working at WMCO. And that was in the sports department. They had it was the same year as the LA Olympic Games. That's something else I wanted to go to, but I wasn't allowed because they were sending somebody else. So I worked with the other guy who became my friend and mentor by the name of Bill Schweitzer, who's now retired. In fact, he taught at Quinnipiac University, which you may hear of in Connecticut, and was also on the air at the radio station. In fact, he's a Facebook friend of mine, and so I keep in touch with him once in a while. But as the years in Muskingum went on, Muskingum University, as it's now called, that's where John Glenn, the astronaut, matriculated. He never graduated, but he was their most famous alumni, or one of their most famous. And so during the time I was there, I mean, I did the football games, basketball, baseball. I was the sports director. They called me the voice of the Fighting Muskies, which is the name of the teams there. And everywhere I go, every student says, "Hello, voice of the Fighting Muskies." They knew who I was, even though they couldn't see me. They could listen to me on the radio, so they knew who I was. And I'll never forget those fall afternoons when I went into the football stadium, which is being redone as a wellness center now. They tore it down and they're rebuilding it. But I just it was fun to go on those Saturday mornings, like at home or even at a away game, to go into that broadcasting booth and do the game for about 2.5, 3 hours. I mean, it was just an absolute joy, because it was living out a dream really that I wanted to do. So fast forward now, I graduate from there. I then go to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, as I said, for a few months while I was in between that and my first job. And then as my career progressed, as I said, I worked a lot of stations. That's one thing I must say, when you're in radio, you have to move around a lot and you have to pay your dues. I mean, that's something that cannot be emphasized enough. I don't care where your career choice is, where your discipline is. You got to get down into the dirt and just dig until you get to where you want to go. But when you surround yourself with good people, and you surround yourself with people who care about you, and you do it as a team, you'll get where you want to go. But you just have to be in the right situation, the environment. It's all about timing. Okay, you got to be in the right place at the right time. And as I said, you have to learn to adapt to working different hours, like I did. I mean, it's one thing when you're in your 20s when you can't get sleep. Okay, but you'll make up for it later on, because what you do early on in your career, if you work hard enough, it will pay off at the end. I'm a testament to that. I mean, after all the adversity that I had gone through, and working in a career for more than 30 years now, as I said, I've seen a lot of changes in the industry, the entire broadcasting industry, not just radio. I mean, from the time I came in, we were using typewriters, image writers to write our scripts. Now it's high-tech computers, everything's digital. I remember the first time we went digital in '91. That was new for me. I mean, it's like, and wasn't the most technical person either. And like when it came to editing things, like they used to do the splicing of reel to reels when I started. Now you just cut and paste everything, which is neat. I mean, everything has just changed. It's got so high tech, but I was able to adapt and learn as I went along, because that's one thing one of my fellow Cushing graduates told me. Her name was Doris McMillan, who was the class of '69, good friend of mine. And one thing she told me was, and it was very prophetic, keep up with the technology. And look what you see today. You see your Zoom, you see your platforms, your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams. I mean, in fact, what I do for my own show, and I want to show you something here. I do social media as one of my jobs here. And one of the things I do is I post what we're going to have on the show. And if I can just show this to everybody, I don't know if you can see this. This is the show banner and the logo, if I can try to get into my camera here. It's the way home. And the station is WLS in Chicago, but it airs all over the world. You can get that online on their website. So like you'll hear our show tonight, for example, at 10 o'clock my time in the East. That would be 9 o'clock Bogota time, I guess. You'll hear me announce the show. And I do some good news, but I also do a lot of behind the scenes work for our host, like social media. And I also try to help produce. If she needs me to get a guest, I will do that. Those are the skills I picked up from this particular show. And then prior to doing this show with her at WGCH, where I did it out of, I got my first taste of podcasting, which I'm sure all of you have heard of and are familiar with by now. It's still relatively new, but it's more and more people are doing it. It's a very crowded field. In fact, I'm trying to start a podcast of my own, as a matter of fact, with a friend, but unfortunately he had COVID, and so it's been kind of delayed. But that's later on. And so I did a podcasting job in the New York area for about 4 years, but it was just a lot of work. I mean, it was grinding. There was a lot of heavy lifting, but we got to do actual podcasts because it was a business-based podcast. We would go to all these different businesses in the New York area, and I met some great people along the way. I was there for 4 years. Recently left that job. But I learned a lot from it, and I think I learned about what podcasting is all about. And so now I'm hoping those skills that I've taken, I can use it towards this new project if and when we do get it going, which I hopefully will be sooner rather than later. In fact, the fact that I'll get to do it from home makes it even better. Because if we've learned one thing from this pandemic, you can do things from home and not have to travel a gazillion miles to your job every time. So, I mean, that actually turned out to be a plus. I'm sure everybody will agree. I mean, I've been sleeping better. I mean, I've been able to take care of my personal life, my health. That's really important, especially at my age now. But I'm really enjoying this show right now, The Way Home, which we're doing once a week. It's one of the highlights of the week, getting that recorded. And as I said, it airs on Sunday nights. I just hopefully, as I said, expand to my own podcast, hopefully in the not too distant future. But I'm doing really well. And like I said, I miss Cushing. We were supposed to have a reunion last year, and this year it got canceled because of the pandemic. I hope we come back next year. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. But like I said, without Cushing, as I said, there would not be a broadcast career. And so I'm just very grateful that I've been able to do what I've done for over 30 years. I mean, it hasn't been a straight line. I mean, there has been a lot of ups and downs. I'll give you that. But I've had a lot of great successes along the way. It was back one of the jobs I had. I was named. I got honorable mention for best newscast in the state of Connecticut, which really surprised me. I think that was the highest honor I ever got. It was unexpected. It was like 1996. Someone told me I'd won it, and it's like I didn't expect to win anything. I didn't really do it for the honors. I just wanted to do what I loved. But it has been, I must say, it has been rewarding, and the friends I've made, the connections, and particularly now in the age of social media, it just means so much to me now. Particularly with this pandemic, since we really can't be seeing each other in person so much. But I'm really blessed with my life. I mean, my family's doing well. I'm an uncle to 3 kids. They're all doing well. All of them, 2 of them are working. One's in college. We'll be graduating, I guess, in 2 years. So I'm very happy with my life right now, and hopefully even better times ahead. So with that, if anybody has any questions or comments, I'll open the floor to all of you, if that's all right. But thanks for having me on here.
Okay, do you guys so far have any questions? Ana, Alejandra, Caroline is coming now. She's getting in. So do you guys have any questions to give so far?
Yes, go ahead.
Go.
Hey, Anna, go.
Oh,
If you want. Okay. No, just one word. I have 2 questions, and the first is about, well, I believe that the radio is a really good way. For me, it's nice to hear, to know, to receive the information through the radio. Mm-hmm. But I feel that, I don't know, 20 years, the last 20 years or 30 years, the TV stole or dismissed the attention on the radio. I feel that the people like more the TV than the radio. What do you think about that?
Well, when I started in '88, I mean, cable was really becoming a big thing. I remember we didn't get cable here till I guess by the time I graduated in '83, and that was just starting to blossom. I mean, now you see the proliferation of cable, which has become satellite. I mean, I think when it comes to radio, I mean, I think there's still a place for the terrestrial radio, the traditional media that I worked in for years. But again, it has changed because one of the things that happened about 8 years into my career, they used to have mom and pop operations. They were owned by a single owner. You might know, but now it's owned by a big conglomerate. And unfortunately, a lot of people, even in television, not just radio, have been cut back or lost their jobs. Unfortunately, I was one of those casualties. Unfortunately, I worked at a place I really loved, but it was just all cut and dry. Bottom line, I don't know if any of you were familiar with the 1996 Telecommunications Act. It's happened 25 years ago. It went into law. And the law basically said, and this goes for television, that an owner can own more than one radio or TV station in a given market. And that's when all the big names, all the big owners came out. And I didn't realize at the time it was a job killing bill. It would affect the careers of me and thousands of others. So to your question about television, I think, I think a lot of people, when it goes to TV, I mean, they've got a lot of choices now. I mean, you see the streaming services, you see your premium channels, but I think there's still a place for some local TV. I mean, some of the local stations here get very high ratings, but yeah, I mean, you have so many choices, a lot more than what we had, let's say, back in '88 when I first started. I mean, it has really, really grown exponentially.
Next question.
Okay, and the other question, sorry, Anna. And the other
I'll answer
question is
that.
okay, it's about I want a recommendation to hear a radio station in Washington DC. So can you give me some recommendation there? Because
I mean, you're looking for a particular station you want to listen to, or I mean, I don't really know Washington that well, I mean, because I never really lived there. I think I know one station. I think it's WTOP radio is the one station I think I remember. I'm more familiar with the New York area, actually, so I'm not sure, if I could help you on the DC end of it here. I remember, I think one of my friends knew somebody that worked at WTOP when I was trying to apply for a job there, and he was the sports director. This is I guess when I started 30 years ago. But other than that, I never really looked in DC. But yeah, that's a very good market, by the way. I mean, that's top 5. Yeah, so you're in a good location if you can get something in DC. I mean, there could be a number of possibilities. A lot of people have gone to New York through DC because it is considered a major market there.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alejandra. Anna, do you have a question so far?
I don't have a question. I would like to hear about, do you have some of your performance in radio recorder that we can listen to?
Well, I guess I have to go back to my podcast, really. I mean, if our show, which I just talked about, you can actually get a podcast on for every episode. That station I just referred to, if you go to
So you have a little piece in recorder?
Yeah, well, there's audio, not video in it. It's just an audio component. So I mean, you can hear me. You won't be able to see me. Yeah, but you can do that. I mean, we have so many episodes. I don't know how many episodes we've done. We've done this for over a year now, I guess. I don't know particularly what the time frame is, but yes, if you go into their website, there's a list of shows we did, and you just click on one of them. It's under the Way Home page, and just listen to it. And like I said, you'll hear me, but mostly you'll hear my host. And it's just a fun show because I talked about the word inspire. We say be inspired on that show. We really hit hard on that because that's what it's all about. We mean to inspire, but not just entertain and inform. We want you to get something out of it. We want you to be uplifted. Whether it be a guest, we had psychics on, if you're into that. We cover a wide range of things. We don't do politics, though. I'm glad we don't do that. We stay away from anything controversial. We want to be a positive show to bring people together. I mean, that's what I believe in, especially at a time like this. So that way, you get plenty of the bad news out there, but you can come to our show for an hour and you can feel like you're in a safe place. You're in a happy environment. And that's how I feel when I record with Laura, my host. And when you hear that, I think you see how it comes out that way. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're looking for a podcast, I'd say the best example would be the show I'm doing right now. You could find something on that.
I would like to hear.
But don't you have, Jim, don't you have like a little broadcast in your cell phone, like a little record?
Yeah, I would.
No?
Well, maybe I can try and call it up here. I mean, just bear with me. Maybe I can go into the website and try to play something for you if I can. I have to go into the website and had it called up, but I'll see if I can do that because they have several pages. But anyway, yeah, I think there's like they put the episode on like days after we actually air it. You have to try on the website. If I can get it, I'll get it for you. But yeah, but we air on Sunday nights our time at 10 o'clock Eastern time and 9 o'clock your time. Once a week, and then as I said, if you miss the show, then it gets replayed. So I can't seem to call it up here.
Show is every day.
But there.
Every day, your show is every
You
day.
can get it anytime you want. Yeah, I mean, it airs live once a week, but you can hear it anytime you want. It's on demand, like a lot of our shows these days. So yeah, WLSAM.com. If any of your students or yourself want to write that down, WLSAM.com. That's one word, and go to the Way Home page. You'll see Laura's picture on there, and I think that's where the shows are listed. Just click on there and find one of the shows you want. There's several of them on there. That's what I recommend.
Sorry, Jim, I didn't understand. What kind of show do you play for?
What kind of show is it?
Yeah,
It's a lifestyle show, really, is what it is. I can give you some examples. Like we've had psychics on there. We've had people who've had inspiring stories that have come on our show. We've had musical performers. I don't know if anybody have you ever heard of Todd Rundgren? Yeah, he was a famous singer from the 70s. We just had him on because my friend had gone to a concert in Chicago and we did an episode with Todd. So every once in a while, we do grab a very big name on the show, and it's a lot of fun. We usually devote a half an hour to the anchor guest, the main guest, and then we have, I guess, some paid interviews. But with the goal in mind, to inspire and to uplift and give you helpful advice is something else that we also do on the show. So I think it provides a wonderful service for our listeners who tune in, not only every week, but I'm sure those online, that get on it by demand. So I can answer your question on that. Yep.
Okay.
What else we got?
Okay. So do you have any other questions? Well, I have a question.
Yes, Martin.
Jim. I don't understand very well why you choose to become a...
Estoy gorda y no me quiero mover.
Why I choose to do what I do?
Yes.
Question?
Why did you choose to become a guy from the radio and all this for so many years? What made you? I know that it was because of the basketball and the sports and
Yes. Well, I want to go before that. Yeah, I mean that's a very good question because I said it started with Cushing, but I always had that desire since I was little. I was very enamored with the industry at a very early age, particularly television. I was just really engrossed in it. And the reason being is because I listened to all these personalities. I mean, we all have our idols. Okay, I mean, whoever they may be, you might have met some. I've got some friends I met in the industry who made it very big, and some I didn't know. But yeah, to answer your question, Ernesto, this started when I was very little. I'll never forget. There's a story of one gentleman who his name is Ed Bear, who died unfortunately 2 years ago, I think it was. He was one of my early mentors. He had a show in New York on WCBS FM. I'll tell you about that story. Sometime I think when I was 9 years old, it was in 1973. I was listening at home in Connecticut, and a DJ usually plays a dedication to their listeners. I think they still do that today. If I'm not, I'm sure they do. And all of a sudden, I hear my name was mentioned there. We want to play this song to me in Westport, Connecticut. Okay, and I'm like, what just happened here? I was just like blown away by that. They played something by Tony Orlando and Dawn. I think it was Tie a Yellow Ribbon. I think that was the name of the song. But from that moment, I'd say that's probably where I really got the bug. That maybe this is what I wanted to do. I think it really really started there. I say Cushing really actually started my career because I started doing some things. But yeah, I say my inspiration, and I used that word at the beginning of our forum tonight, started with that when I was about 9 years old, maybe even before that. So yeah, that's to answer your question. That's where it all really, because I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to be a doctor, lawyer, dentist. I wanted to have my own career path. And so from that moment on, I knew what I wanted to do, and I kept that right until to this day. And I'm so lucky and very blessed to do what I'm doing. So thank you for asking that.
Hey Jim, why don't you? Is it possible to speak a little slower? Because some of them they are having some difficulties understanding.
Yes.
They have a very good level of English, but they cannot follow you because you are like I know that you are the radio man and you have to speak like that when you're online, but some of them, they are having some little difficulties.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you could please speak a little slower, it would be nice. Okay, here we have another of my students. He lives in Mexico. His name is Antonio. So he's going to ask you a question or he's going to introduce himself.
Sure.
And we go into the next session because this session is almost over. Okay. So Antonio, please, nice to have you here.
Hello there.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Jim, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about
Sorry for the delay, but Sunday is a little bit complicated to join to any Zoom session, but it's a pleasure to be with you and with all of you.
So tell me a little bit more about yourself, what you do and where you're from.
Well, I'm from Mexico City. I work for ExxonMobil here in Mexico. I have 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 little boy. He will be the next Mexican racing driver, as always I said to Ernesto. But I'm happy to be here today with you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on too. And I know you just joined us, but I was talking a little bit about my life and my career in radio. I'm sure he gave you kind of the Cliff Notes version of that. But as I said, I've been doing this now for about 30 years. And I'm still active today after all these years. And I love doing what I'm doing. I'm now doing some podcasting, or trying to start a new podcasting gig. So,
Okay,
no, the questions.
And it's a very interesting topic because I believe it's a little bit complicated to manage a radio show program.
Sure.
Because I believe you need a lot of preparation before every show, right?
That's correct. Yep, you do. Like anything else, just like an athlete or anything else you do, you gotta prepare. You really have to prepare. I agree with you on that 100%. No doubt about it. Do you have any specific questions about what I did? I gave a little presentation at the start, but about the business itself, or I was explaining to them all the places I've been, where I started, how I got inspired. I think I just talked about that from when I was a kid, because Ernesto had asked that question. But did you have anything specific you wanted to learn about the industry maybe you didn't know? Or I can answer any questions there, so let me know.
Okay. So, I just have, as I told you, I didn't have the chance to be with you at the beginning of your presentation. So, in this radio show that you have, how many years?
How many years have I been doing it?
Yes.
Well, this particular show hasn't been around for very long. It's been, I'd say, roughly a year that I've been doing this particular show that I just talked about. But the industry as a whole, I've been in it for over 30 years.
Okay.
Awfully long time. I think we have less than a minute to go in this first session here. But yes, it's you have to work a lot of different places. You have to adapt. You have to move around, as I said earlier. It's not a very secure business. There's no job security. I'll tell you that. That's one thing I learned at the very beginning. But through it all, to do what you love and to do with people you enjoy doing it with, that's a blessing. And I'm sure you would feel the same with what you do. So.
And what kind of show is the show that you have?
It's a lifestyle show, and it airs all over the world. It originates from Chicago, Illinois, on Sunday nights, like tonight at 10 Eastern time. That would be 9 o'clock your time. But you can catch it online. It's on demand, like anything else is on technologically today. There's a lot of podcasts out there that you can do, whatever your favorite topic is. But it's basically, it's very different. Let's say hard news. It's light, inspiring. I talk about inspiration.
Okay. And, maybe you can write the name of the show in the chat, just to do a follow-up later.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ernesto, I gave you some of the information. I can repeat it again. Second half if you want.
Excuse me, students and Jim. Let's go to the second session, because this is going to be over.
Yes.
So please, everyone, go to the second session of this invitation, because this is over. Okay?
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
Bye.
Right back.